What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I finally got done playing another play session of Black Ops 6. So, 2 days deep. Again, I appreciate everybody who tuned into the live stream over on Twitch. And for those who don't know, usually I do not stream on Sundays. But today, on a rare Sunday today, I am going to be streaming some Black Ops 6, obviously, since, it's a launch weekend. So, if you guys want to partake in that stream, hop into the open lobbies or see me critique the game a little bit further, live and in action before we make content about it on YouTube, by all means, tune into the stream. I got a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But in today's video, I just wanted to hyper-focus one of the biggest complaints I have for this title. I'll be real with you guys. I have been diving deep, really deep into Black Ops 6. You know what I'm saying? And yes, skill-based matchmaking is always going to be a flaw. And I might make a commentary a little bit later down the road to bring some more light to skill-based matchmaking, just like how everybody's always, crapping on me for not making any videos about netcode with X-Define. Trust me, at some point, I'll make one or two, but I'm not going to spend the whole year, like everybody wants me to, just yapping on about skill-based matchmaking. I'll address it, but it's not something that I want to do very frequently on this channel. But throughout all my playtime, I'll be real, there's realistically only one thing that really aggravates me with this game. I enjoy the gunplay, the weapon variety is fantastic, it's really solid, the progression system is pretty clean, it's not too grindy, but at the same time, for anybody who wants a real grind, it's there for you, it's present. Apparently, zombies is really solid from what I hear from other players. I don't play zombies, so, I usually stay out of stuff that I don't technically play. The things that I discuss on this channel are usually things that I'm well suited for. Multiplayer, I can yap your guys' ears off for hours and hours and hours on end because I've been playing COD multiplayer since the beginning of frickin' time. So I know about this stuff, but zombies, not really my cup of tea. But again, I hear other people saying it's phenomenal. I'm liking the experience, but there's one major thing that is absolutely holding back this game in every way, shape, or form. And it's not something that can be permanent. This could be something that's resolved over time, but I'll be real, I don't really believe Treyarch is planning on changing this anytime soon. And of course, it's not a deal breaker. I would consider skill-based matchmaking more of a deal breaker than what I'm about to mention, but I want to address this. The maps and the spawns. Now, the spawns are definitely rough, but they're always rough in the beginning of Call of Duty games, right? This is something that is perfected over time. But the reason that I don't think the spawns are ever going to be perfected in these maps are because of the size of the maps. You see, in other maps that Treyarch has made, or Infinity Ward, or even Sledgehammer, they can polish off the spawn system because there's enough room, there's enough breathing room to give people some time to react and get back into the match. But I cannot think of one single map in this game, even Red Star. I know everybody says Red Star is huge, but it truthfully isn't. It's funny to me because I feel like people's terminology for what is considered a small map and what's considered a big map nowadays in Call of Duty is drastically different than what we considered a small and big map back in the day. But people consider Red Star really big. I don't know, man. I think that the snow map, I always forget how to pronounce it, but the snow map, in my opinion, is much bigger. But even on the snow map, one of the biggest maps in the game, still has horrific spawns. And it's all because of the maps. There's no wiggle room. There's no breathing room. And each and every map, even down to the biggest maps you could think of, you can cross them in about 5 steps. You can go from point A to point B in literally maybe 5 seconds tops. And because of this, it makes the spawns horrifying. You're constantly getting shot in the back of the head, constantly getting shot in the side of the head. And again, when you're versing a really good 6 stack of players, the spawn traps are through the absolute freaking roof. Because when it comes to, flank spots, rotations, there's not many really presented to you because the map isn't big enough to hold them. You see, when I look at the maps in Black Ops 6 right now, to me personally, this is going to be a competitive game. I'm telling you straight up. These maps are going to play so freaking good in 4v4. You could tell from the ground up they were made with competitive in mind. And then obviously transferred over to the casual, gameplay. Which I guess isn't really, the end of the world, but for the mass majority of casual players, it might cause some problems because, again, we're playing 6v6. We're not playing 4v4. We have 2 additional players, and what happens if they decide to add 10v10 into the rotation down the road? All the maps from Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer, I don't like mentioning Infinity Ward because usually their games aren't too phenomenal, but they're still a pretty valid example. These teams, their maps are large enough that they fit on 6v6. You still get constant action, but if you up the player count to 10v10, it's still playable. I have no clue if they're even going to consider upping the player count, and I don't even know if I'm going to play it. Throughout these past 5+ years, I've grown accustomed to playing larger modes, whether it's Ground War, 10v10, what they call it in Vanguard, Chaos mod, I forget, it was the combat pacing, I forget what the max combat pacing was. But I always play larger player counts because it counters the skill-based matchmaking. The less amount of players in the lobby, the easier it is for them to find the most competitive players, you know? So the more amount of players, the better of a chance of a casual match. I don't even know if I'm going to bother. If they add 10v10 to this game, I don't know. I'll probably give it a go. But these maps already play so hectic. I mean, you guys are watching, what, Protocol right now? This right here is probably one of the maps that's on the medium-ish, close to, largest in Black Ops 6 terminology maps. And even this map has, really tight spawns and spawns that flip 24/7. It's something that happens so frequently, but again, it's because of the way the maps were built. The Shipment brain rot took over, ladies and gentlemen. That's basically the moral of the story here. The Shipment brain rot took over. And I want to make it very clear, I'm not saying this is destroying Black Ops 6, because I'll be real with you guys, I can't think of anything else negative. There might be a few more critique videos that I'll have for Treyarch, but nothing has really ticked me off or sent me over the edge besides the size of these maps and the spawn system that comes along with them. But this mentality is going to be rough here, because I don't think that Treyarch is planning on branching away from this. You have to understand, Activision is all about the data. And if we're going to be real here, the data is easily going to prove that the majority of the people always go to the Shipment mosh pit or the Nuketown mosh pit or whatever small map playlist you could think of. That's where people go, whether it's to camo grind or just shut their brain off and play the game. And that's just where Call of Duty fans are playing. But it's just so sad because I think they're taking that data and they're branching it out here. Maps like Shipment were never supposed to be in a pub match environment. The fact that they got into Call of Duty 4 in general is mind-boggling. It's actually kind of shocking, and it's funny because it actually turned into being one of the most popular maps. But initially, these maps like Shipment were built so the devs can go into the game and test things out and perfect the game, not to go ahead and have an actual competitive 6v6 match, you know what I'm saying? But it seems like the developers are saying, oh, okay, so people like Shipment, they're obsessed with that map style, so what can we do? Well, we'll take maps like that, and we'll enhance on them, Those maps are notorious for having bad spawns, being a little too close. Let's expand them a little bit, maybe add a little bit more variety, and just go with the flow of it. And that's exactly what they did. These maps are very condensed and small, but like I mentioned in my previous video the other day, my first impressions, they're detailed, and that's what I said. They're not bad maps, right? What I would consider bad maps is if they were literally the size of Nuketown. If they were actually the size of Nuketown and Shipment, all of them, then I would be having a huge problem here. But they're not. They're slightly larger, but it's not large enough to consider it really a medium map in my opinion, and it's still not large enough to give us good spawns. They increased it by such a slight margin to obviously tap into the Shipment brain rot, what everybody is apparently obsessed with nowadays, but still give a good enough flow that it doesn't become too toxic. And I'll be real with you guys, I don't think they plan on changing this. I genuinely feel from the ground up this game was built to have this style of gameplay in mind, and you can feel it. When you play on all the maps, you know exactly what they were aiming for. This is supposed to be a stupidly fast-paced arcade shooter, okay? 1010%. And they wanted to go ahead and give you the atmosphere, the experience that Shipment has to offer, but on more realistic maps. Because when you play on Shipment, it's not realistic. You can't have an actual competitive match on Shipment because it's absolutely stupid. But they wanted to keep the same adrenaline rush. They wanted to keep the same vibes and transfer it to more of a real 6v6 format instead of, doing, what classic COD actually is, right? This is not classic Call of Duty, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new version of it. And it's up to the consumer to decide if this is worth it or not to them. For me personally, like I said, it's not a game changer. I think that the gunplay and the movement being so smooth it's nice enough. And the maps are still playable. Like Payback here. I enjoy Payback. I think Payback is really fun, but again, it's so fast-paced. You're constantly having people spawn behind you, in front of you, to the side of you. You're constantly spawning next to people and killing them. It's easy to hold insane spawn traps where you watch people spawn up in front of you. And in reality, like I said, they can try to fix that, but I don't know if they can really fix the spawns. Like, where else could you put someone on a small map like this where anybody isn't at without being able to, help someone not get shot in the back of the head from a bad spawn or not to have someone spawn in the middle of the open? It's not logical, in my opinion. It just can't be done. They might be able to tinker with it a little bit, but it's never going to be perfect. Like for Modern Warfare 3, for example, or Black Ops Cold War, or any of these other games because of the maps being a bit more large in size. And when it comes to future DLC content, as much as I want to stay hopeful that we will see some more larger maps, medium to large scale, especially if the leaks are true, that they did take some of Modern Warfare 3's maps so they can, save up on some time, I guess, with production of this game. I don't know why they would have to take Sledgehammer's maps. I was really salty when I heard that because I enjoy Modern Warfare 3, and I feel so bad for Sledgehammer having to cut their later seasons due to giving maps away. But if that's the case, maybe we can see some larger stuff, because Modern Warfare 3 did have in my opinion, normal-sized COD maps when it came to DLC content, which I enjoyed. So we might see it, but I don't think that's Treyarch's vision. I truthfully do not think that's Treyarch's vision whatsoever. I think what I just explained about the Shipment mentality being transformed into a more, competitive 6v6 experience, I think that is what they're aiming at. So I guarantee that the majority of all the DLC content coming within this game are going to be exactly around about the size of stuff like Payback, or the map that I just showed before, the first map in this. But again, I'm sorry, guys, I'm still trying to learn the maps in this. But I feel like that's what they're going to be pointing more so towards. I don't think we're going to see much larger. And again, due to this, I don't think we're going to see many insane improvements to the overall spawn system. But ladies and gentlemen, that's really all I have for you guys. Like I said, I'll be real, this is one of the main and only negatives I can pull up right now for Black Ops 6. Maybe stuff will evolve and we'll see some bad things. But when it comes down to the game itself, literally that's it. Now, again, if we're going to go over to Activision, yeah, the slowest matchmaking is screwing this game. Solo players are getting absolutely rammed, and the experience is a nightmare. But you guys know me. I said it time and time and time again. I like to critique games off of what the developers are doing and not what the publishers do behind the scenes, right? Because obviously the majority of the devs, maybe not the management, who is working closely to Activision, but the majority of the devs working on this project are passionate about gaming. They want to make a good game for their community. They do. These practices, I guarantee that if they were allowed to, like Mark Rubin for X-Defiant, they would strip them. They would literally strip them for us. But that's out of their control. That's out of their say. So when it comes to critiquing games like this, I have to look at the game itself. And the maps and spawns are a core fundamental that Treyarch put together off of, I guess, whatever their data was for the maps, or what people most frequently play when it comes to maps, the pick rate, so on and so forth. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, go down in the comments section. Let me know what you guys think about the maps in this game. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you think the spawns are fine? Do you think they're rough? I realistically think that's the main issue with the game right now. And I think the weapon balance is really solid so far. I haven't really seen anything too meta, seriously. Like Treyarch, I don't know. I don't know what happened within the beta to now, but these guns feel solid. Really good. I've been using all the ARs, all the SMGs. I've been having a blast. The movement is pretty smooth. The gunplay, connection, bullets, everything feel really solid. It's just these frickin' maps, man. That's all it is, really, for me. But again, I want to know what you guys think down below. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We do post here daily at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. Everything about Black Ops 6 and X-Defiant shall be posted on this channel, whether it's updates, patch notes, communication between the developers, all of the above. If you want to keep up to date with both these games, or if you're just a fan of 6v6 arcade-style games, by all means, subscribe and hit that bell. We are on the grind of 50,000 subscribers, and we're right around the corner. And like I said at the beginning of this video, we are doing an oddball kind of stream today. Usually we don't stream on Sundays, but today we are going to be live on some Black Ops 6, trying to, just get a better idea about this game. More than likely, we're going to hit up X-Defiant again on Monday. But as always, if you guys are interested in any of those streams and you want to partake in them, hop into the open lobbies. You guys will find a link to that Twitch channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.